Hello everyone, my name is Faz from Nintendo Plays UK, and I'm here with the voice of Ryu. Although, as I was a kid, I would call him Ryu, and he chewed me out for that in the past. Kyle Hebert, Kyle Hebert, is it Hebert? I'm getting that right?
Oh yeah, a bear, like a bear's attacking me. No.
Is the bear okay?
Oh, the bear's okay. Absolutely, yes.
That's fine. How are you today, Kyle?
I'm doing excellent. It's a fine weekend here in California, and we've been having quite the heat wave lately. So we've been doing our best to stay cool and crank that AC up and all that fun stuff.
I can only wish to have your heat right now because it's the UK and it always rains, and it's a fairly nice day today, but still nowhere near like summertime heat. Is there any way we could trade?
Well, I don't know. You know any magicians?
No, I think I know someone who has a magician's red, but I don't know how that kind of works out for this sort of situation. I know him, but he's kind of in Egypt and maybe in another dimension. I'm not sure. All right. So for those who don't know, obviously you're Kyle Hebert. You're kind of legendary at this point in the industry, in the VOing industry. I don't think there's a series you haven't been in.
It kind of feels like that. It's weird. I have to pinch myself.
I mean, I don't know many people, at least I don't know many VOs who have done Dragonball Z, Pokemon, and Digimon, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure all in the same series. And that's not even like all the Nintendo stuff or even just the gaming stuff that you are prolific for. So I guess to move things swiftly, what's that like for you as a person who plays so many iconic characters?
Well, it's like a double whammy. Whenever I audition for these things, and the thing about voiceover is you audition more than you actually work. But when you do land a gig, and it turns out to be something iconic like one of these franchises, it's doubly cool for me because I'm getting to have an opportunity once again to do something that I love. And I'm already a pop culture and gaming fan to begin with. I always have. I mean, I'm older. I'm 50, so my first gaming system was an Atari 2600, so I go way back.
What games did you play on your Atari?
Oh, what's that?
What games did you play on your Atari?
Golly. I remember playing mostly, Yar's Revenge. And I even had that god-awful E.T. one.
Okay, we can ask about this. What was the E.T. game like? We might as well. We're here.
It was pretty pointless. You look for Reese's Pieces and try to find bits to assemble your little satellite communication thing to contact your home. But the graphics, of course, are very primitive, and all you could really do with a controller is extend his neck. So, yeah.
Oof. All right. So you've played through the Atari ages, which I'm glad you survived. I'm glad that has not killed your love for gaming. So you are a big gamer then?
Yeah, I consider myself a casual gamer. I'm not competitive in the least because I really don't have any skills. I button mash. That's what I call myself. I'm a button mash gamer.
Well, what was your favorite games growing up?
Well, let's see. I did play Pac-Man a lot on the Atari, actually, come to think of it. A lot of arcade games back then. There was old school stuff. Donkey Kong Jr., Pole Position, Tempest.
I was thinking of Donkey Kong Country. That was the first thing that came to my head. I forgot there was one before it. Eesh.
Oh, yeah. This is where Mario first appeared, was well, at least in America, I think, was Donkey Kong.
The Jumpman, when he was still known as Jumpman.
Yeah, there you go. And God, I lost tons of quarters in that. I remember playing Street Fighter a little bit, again, because I was so bad. It was just, frustrating. When you play a game and you just lose instantly and you don't find your way, it's like it's hard to get motivated to continue playing it. But I knew it's one of those huge games that's so iconic and nostalgic too.
Is it Street Fighter 1 or Street Fighter 2?
Golly, it was so long ago, I don't remember which one I saw. It may have been the second one.
I mean, it could have been both for you, to be fair. You lived through both games.
That's true.
But I'm assuming you played more of 2 than you did of 1. So you knew about Ryu before you voiced him?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the movie in '94 with Van Damme and oof.
I was still a child, and it was the first, like, I just saw Street Fighter 2, the game, and then I saw the movie, and then that's it. But that must have been different for you, wouldn't it? Because you would have been much older than I, in that sense.
Oh, yeah.
So what was that experience like? Did you actually hate the movie? A lot of people hated the movie.
Well, you can look at it in 2 ways. You can see it as an adaptation, and as an adaptation, yeah, it's awful. And as a movie on its own merit, it's also awful, but it's campy. I think it's fun. I think it's one of those so bad it's good kind of things.
How can I, like, there's just so much I want to ask in terms of just Street Fighter stuff. But obviously we do got to talk a bit about your history in VOing at some point and video game stuff at some point. So we'll put that on the back burner. So we've gotten to effectively the 90s, and in 92, one of the first roles you got was Magneto? From X-Men?
Let's see. Let's do Mythbusters right now. Okay, so the 92 X-Men arcade game, I don't know who voiced the original ones that you see in the arcade, but once it came home and there was the PlayStation version and probably Xbox and Steam and all that, they decided to revoice those, and this was probably, golly, maybe 10 years ago. So they hired myself and Mela Lee to voice the various genders and represent.
Ooh.
They said, don't worry about trying to sound like the original actor. Just, we just want to update it because we're going to update it online for HD and all that stuff. So, yeah, I wasn't a voice actor back until 2000 with Dragonball Z. That's where I started. And with Street Fighter, I wasn't Ryu until 2008 with Street Fighter 4.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we might as well start with Gohan then, because that's probably where we'll this whole thing begins for you. So how did you get the role of Gohan?
That let's see this. So in August of 2000, I was living in Dallas, and Funimation is still there today in Dallas. Dragon Ball Z was huge, like the #1 show on Cartoon Network in the days in the States, and I remember hearing about opportunities to audition from my coworkers at a radio network that I was on, because I was a DJ before I was a voice actor, and myself and people like Kara Edwards and some of the other folks all went in at roughly the same time and auditioned, because Funimation, obviously sold a lot. There's just a juggernaut of merchandise and everything. And where I was at was actually a kids radio format called Radio Disney. They still exist today. And Kara Edwards, who does Videl and Goten, we were actually on the air together doing a team show. And the folks at Radio Disney were taking a tour of Funimation and trying to work out, it's like, hey, what's hot with kids nowadays? Oh, what's this Dragon Ball Z thing? And, they established a promotional partnership and were able to give away some DBZ merch. And at the same time, they heard about the opportunity to try out for the show. And so that was my cue. I went in, and they had me read from a notebook of, I had picked about a half a dozen characters. I don't remember who all I read for, because I didn't recognize the characters at that point. But I was a fan of DBZ already, because Z had aired in the States since 2005. They just re-show the first 2 sagas over and over again from the Canadian dub. And, I knew Gohan, so I knew I wanted to try out for Gohan. And some other bit part stuff. 2 weeks later, Chris Sabat, who directed most of the show, called me personally and said, hey, we loved your auditions. We want to have you voice on the show. So I wasn't Gohan at first. It was just bit part stuff, because, of course, doing anime dubs is a technical skill. Some people get in there and freeze because of, you hear beep, 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 act. And sometimes the timing thing throws them off, trying to act while matching lip sync and all that stuff. And of course, it was my very first time doing it, so it was by no means perfect, but, that's why they kind of tip your toes in the water, as it were. And I was trying like bit part stuff towards the end of the Cell Saga and the Bardock special and things like that. So when they were ready to record, when Gohan goes to Orange Star High School. I forgot the name, but anyway,
yeah, he's Orange Star High School.
Yeah. And so he's a teenager now. So you're seeing, they're going with a different voice. So at that point, Kid Gohan was Stephanie Nadolny, and she had a really raspy voice for that. Nowadays, you hear Colleen Klinkenbeard.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
it's okay.
Leave it to me to screw up names. Wow. Yeah. Those big roles that, they found different voice actors, starting with like DBZ Kai and all that. But yeah, I noticed that in Stephanie's performance, it was kind of a raspy thing. So I just wanted to add that raspy sound. So when I tried out for it, that's what they went along with. So I've been teenage Gohan, now adult Gohan, and all the way up through Super, which I just recently finished recording.
Congratulations on that. I've been enjoying the series so far.
Thank you. I really hope that there's a lot more to be. I mean, I don't see why there wouldn't be, but
they've already announced that they're going to do another season. It's just more, at least in the Japanese stuff, I just hope you get to continue to reprise the role since you've been doing it so well for almost, 20 years?
Yes, almost 20 years. Yeah, totally. And, we've had tremendous success through the years with the various video games, all the Tenkaichis, Budokais, all that stuff, and now Xenoverse and Fighter Z is, such an amazing game and tons of fun. The mobile game's doing well. Golly, we'll see what the future holds. I'm sure they're going to at least make new games, and they should definitely, after the success of Broly in the theaters and everything worldwide, it'd be a silly choice to just leave it there. So
I mean, it didn't stop them before. I mean, there was a big massive gap between GT and Super, but it didn't really stop them from making games. So it's great to see that it's still continuing. At least something that's, I guess it's more than. Would it be classed as more of your adulthood? Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, God, I remember we started with Z and then we went backwards and did Dragon Ball, kind of at the same time as we were doing remastered, uncut episodes of Z, and then we went to GT. It's like, wow, there's so much. And every time we'd get to the end, we'd be like bittersweet and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's over. And it's like, it was never over. There's always something new on the horizon.
Going from one shouty character to another, who finally get to talk about Ryu a little bit. So in 2008, I believe it was, Street Fighter 4 finally released. And obviously you probably knew at least, I would say a year and a half in advance, at least based on these interviews I've done. They've always known quite a while before they announced anything to do with voice cast. So how long was it before you found out, how long was it before you did the start of recording and the release? Was it about 1 or 2 years? Would that be right to say?
I would say, let's see, the audition was probably about a good year before release, and 2 or 3 months after that, I went in and recorded for it, and it was, all top secret then. So I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement just to try out.
Fair dues on that one. And obviously you've been a big fan of Street Fighter beforehand. So what was that like for you specifically? Because obviously this is probably different from Dragon Ball, where you see it as an animated series. This is something effectively that you used as an avatar, and then you get to play as your avatar. So what was that like for you as a big gamer yourself?
I'm trying to remember if Ryu was actually my first playable character.
He wasn't your main?
Yeah, like a it definitely always is. I make sure that I am totally biased that way. Just like on Naruto games, I'll play Kiba, and what little Bleach games we were able to bring to the West. I could do Aizen. So
Who was your main way back in the day? And then did you go into audition for Ryu specifically, or was it just a list like you did Blanca and you did E Honda and a few others?
Sure, yeah. This was a similar situation to Dragon Ball, so I see this 3-ring binder of auditions, and I see Ryu and immediately know what it is, because they couldn't even tell me. It's like, hey, this is Street Fighter. It's like, okay, so sign this NDA. Okay, now don't freak out, but you might recognize these characters. Like, okay, whoa, real, shh, yes, shh. So I immediately thumb through the audition sides, and I pick Ryu and Ken to read for. E Honda. I don't know if I did Blanca or not, but I think I did M. Bison, and El Fuerte looked like a fun one, so I think I tried out for that as well.
Oof. El Fuerte was hard to play as when I was playing Street Fighter 4, only because I didn't like his squeaky shoes. That's just all it was. The squeaky shoes was annoying, but other than that, it was fun. Did you play? So when you found out the role you were going to be playing as Ryu, it'd be funny to say how did you feel, but obviously you were probably already happy about it. So this kind of opened a few doors for you when it came to later down the line. Could you then reprise the role as Ryu in the Disney movie? Correct?
Oh yeah. Totally. They even lifted a "Sure You Can" from my original cameo session to use in Ralph Breaks the Internet too. So that was kind of, it's like, hey, Disney wants to lift this recording and they want to pay me for it. So I don't even have to work and I'm getting paid. Like, wow, okay.
Hey, what was your favorite line to do as Ryu? Because obviously it's mostly grunts and you haven't really got much of an opportunity to do animated stuff. I know there was the animated stuff in Street Fighter 5, but we'll get to that.
Right, yeah. All the cutscene stuff, we don't really get to see a lot of the footage because we don't have the raw materials even at that point. But we do have the Japanese audio. So when you're recording a game, you're trying your best to match at least the timing of it down to the millisecond, the frame, or in computer speak, I guess, when you're recording on Pro Tools software. So yeah, it's when you watch the cutscenes in the games and the lip sync doesn't quite match, there's a very technical reason why it doesn't. It's like, well, we didn't have that luxury of having the visuals in the recording session to do that. But we did have multiple representatives online in Japan from Capcom, as well as in America in my session. And we had various directors through the years. I know, we had Blanca himself. Jonathan Klein is the head of New Gen Pictures, who directed us on some of the games. But Blanca, his voice actor, was also the director in the game, Taliesin Jaffe.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun. I mean, I could never say Tatsumaki Senpukaku. I couldn't say that fast enough, so he would say it phonetically with me, and he would do all the power-up yells himself. So he ended up trashing his own voice, which I thought, okay, that's kind of funny. But he's kind of like emulate this, do this sort of thing. But I kind of was able to kind of just dial into the zone with that character. It's like he's very zen, he's not aggro, like evil Ryu is. But I found that it was definitely a lot of fun to do. When you were recording games, you do like 2 or 3 takes of each dialogue line, and then you get to the fighty, screamy, shouty stuff towards the end of your session, because you don't want to risk trashing your voice and then try the conversational stuff too. So there's all that. I mean, I love, Hadouken, Shoryuken. I just woke up as we're doing this show, so my voice is not warmed up and my voice is a little lower.
It's okay. You do not have to do the voices for us here. It's not. I do not want to make you do anything that will make your voice worse for the rest of the day.
Yeah. No. It's all good. So usually I'm a little more awake and my voice is slightly higher pitched, and they have all this throat spray and Chinese cough syrup and hot tea at the go right there in the session that you can. There's all this preparation that they want to make sure and they respect that the shouty stuff can hurt your voice and then thus make it difficult or if not impossible to record on other projects later that day or the next day or whatnot. And I have recorded on games, sometimes even the Street Fighter franchise, where my voice is completely shot, and I'll be thankful that there's nothing else in my schedule, at least for a few days. Or if there is one coming up, I have to like give them a heads up. It's like, I might have to reschedule, guys. I just tore my voice up. I had a 3 or 4 hour session, and it was a throat ripper, we like to say in the industry.
Did you ever meet Yoshinori Ono? I'm pretty sure you did, but I would love to know when, if you had to deal with him during audition time when you did Street Fighter 4 the first time.
Yeah, I met some of the big Capcom figures just in passing, though. For some of the promotional appearances or convention things. Just a brief, like, hi, it's an honor to meet you, sort of thing. I haven't met any of the voice talent though, but definitely on the creator side and executive producer side. I'm so terrible with names, but. Yeah, it's been cool to see. It's like, wow, I have this opportunity to fulfill such an iconic role because of this person and this organization and all the artists together working hard, and now that you have this franchise is such a huge worldwide phenomenon.
You said you hadn't met some of the other cast, so you haven't met Ruben Langdon. I know you probably met Blanca.
English cast, yeah. Oh, yeah, English cast, yeah. I've worked with Caitlin Glass in Texas. She's still there, actually, with Funimation. But she did come out to record for Cammy. And Ruben, yeah, we were actually, golly, I just see each other in passing, It's usually because everyone's so busy that we might run into each other in the halls of a studio when sessions are in between, or we're there for auditions, or we're at a convention together. So that's kind of funny. I mean, there are some actors on the cast, and this is true of like every project, that I've never met. And to this day, it's like we might have characters interact in the game or the show, but it's like, I haven't met you. I have no idea who you are, because we record individually.
I know this is a usual scenario, at least for me personally, because we've done these a few times and we've always heard this, but it's always great to just reiterate that this may not always be the case. So, have you actually fought against Ruben? Will you ever fight Ruben in a Street Fighter fight?
Oh yeah, he totally pwned me. I mean, we had a convention together. I think it was SakuraCon in Seattle a few years back, and they had a big Street Fighter thing, and Ruben was there, and I think Ian Sinclair was there, and we all basically, we had this giant screen, so they were able to port the output for the PlayStation up there, and we basically just kind of sat on the front row and we all played each other and everything and gave away Street Fighter items, and that was a ton of fun. It's just like, oh, these two guys are so much better at this than me.
Well, maybe Street Fighter might not be the best arena for this right now. Maybe we should move on to a new arena. How about Super Smash Brothers? How much of a fan of that are you, if I may ask? How do you play that? Do you get a chance to play that a lot, or at least in passing?
Yeah, it's more of a casual thing, because I this is a good problem to have. And when you're a freelancer, you want to work more. So yeah, I have been pretty busy, so I haven't had a lot of time to dedicate to it. But I do have it. I do. I pre-ordered it, and I usually with the Switch I will even with PlayStation I'll do digital downloads, because it's so much easier to just have them on the memory card or the hard drive or whatnot, instead of trying to keep track of a disc or a cartridge.
Maybe when we spoke to Ruben, we asked him something similar, and he would always say he made a big point about, if it was in Street Fighter, I'll host a tournament, I don't care, I just want to fight everyone in Street Fighter. But in Smash, that's not really his game. Maybe that might be the more, a more solid opportunity for you to take the crown on that one.
Oh, golly. Well, maybe I should strike while the iron's hot.
So with that being said, when did you find out that you were going to be in Smash?
I found out about a month before they announced at E3 and subsequently had the download available that day that that Ryu was going to be a part of it. So I went to the session. This was a short, like 15, 20 minutes because, that's not a lot of dialogue. And I get there, and the Nintendo guys are there for the session, and they're like geeking out. There's like, oh my gosh, the voice of Ryu is here. It's like, wow, this is my job to freak out. I never thought I would be on Smash Brothers. It's like, how am I going to get on this big Nintendo franchise? Like, ooh. So, yeah, I had to sit on that, but not as nearly as long as a Street Fighter game, for a whole year where there's trailers coming out, people going, hey, that sounds like you. I'm like, oh, how strange. Because I can't talk about it yet.
Okay. Right. So there's still so many. I'll just go straight into the fan questions, and if I have any more extra questions at the end, I'll just ask them. But for the time being, Olian asks, do you want there to be a new super movie featuring Cell with a returning Gohan so he can take the spotlight again?
I would. I'm hoping that Gohan will not only get to show back up, but he will be great again. We've seen his potential. We've seen it get squandered, and he's kind of been gimped, for quite a while. He wasn't even in the Broly movie at all. So it's like, okay, he's shown that he's a responsible dad, he's a loving husband, and he's powerful because he did contribute in a positive way in the Tournament of Power arc, which I just recently finished recording, and I am dying to see something good happen to Gohan. It's like, let's not forget this character. I know it's all about Goku and Vegeta and all the main guys, but they were going somewhere big with Gohan ever since he was a kid, and I would hate to think that that's his fate.
Louis Pennycook asks, what is your favorite line that Frederick says in Fire Emblem? So this might be a little bit difficult considering it's Fire Emblem either from Warriors or Awakening. But you played him in both those games.
Yes. Yeah. What I get asked to quote the most is my favorite because that's the only one I know, which is pick a god and pray.
Oh, that's a really good line. You are right. I'm still working my way through Awakening. So it's like Frederick's been my tanky man to handle things at the moment. So it's like, oh yeah, he does say that.
Nice. Yeah. I've got Valadar in there, but I don't remember anything he says, or Bartray or Valbar. So I've got a couple other characters, but definitely Frederick was my most popular one.
I just make Valadar sound evil whenever I'm having to live stream it. Anyway, going back to the next questions. Abu Bakr Umar asks, favorite anime you have watched?
Let's see. A little biased, but probably Dragon Ball Z. Because it's so, it's iconic and great in its own way, but it's also a symbol of where I started in voiceover, and getting that opportunity has opened so many doors for me to not only be on other franchises and great projects, but also to travel the world, go to conventions and see new places and meet the fans face to face, and get to hear about the impact these shows and these games have had on their lives. And I feel really, really fortunate to be able to say that I was a part of all that, and to hear these experiences firsthand, or through social media, people telling me what a difference these games and shows have made in their lives. It's really, really something special.
Tom Sir T asks, what was your initial reaction to when you found out you'd be doing the VO for Smash 4? I know we kind of alluded to it, but we kind of kept it very, very minimal. So you can expand upon it here if you'd like.
I was so stupidly stoked. I was so excited when I got the email saying, hey, we want you to reprise your role on this. And it's like, whoa, really? And yeah, it was amazing. Again, getting to pop up not only in that, but getting to pop into a Disney movie. Like, what? I thought they only hire like celebrities and movie stars for that stuff, but it's like, hey, a cameo? Okay, I'll take it.
In Smash, because there's so many mascot characters, is there any characters you particularly like seeing punched in the face by Ryu?
I haven't really given that much thought. I just know that I know when I'm playing, I'm so bad at it that I'm happy if I can even land a punch. I can I got one in, before I was defeated. I'll take it.
Hey, to be fair, Ryu is actually really good in the new Smash game.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that he's like, oh, he's not the greatest. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, boo.
It's one of them weird games where it's like, if you know what you're doing, you can get away with pretty much anyone. At the moment, it's just Heroes having his time in the day, but we'll get to that. Senpai Sen asks, what was it like doing work for Persona 5's Madarame? Did you enjoy doing the role?
Oh, absolutely. Such a bad guy, but yeah, just this grandiose sort of villain character, right? And it was really, really cool. I had no idea the Persona franchise was still such a huge thing. I played a creepy guy in Persona 4, I guess, many years ago on PlayStation 2, and then they revised and brought back a lot of characters for the anime, and successful games come out, and when people come through the autograph lines of the conventions, there's tons of Persona stuff. It's like, wow, I had no idea. Just like with Fire Emblem or Danganronpa, some of these other franchises I had personally never thought that they were as popular as they ended up being. It's like, shows what I know.
From Imran Nala, he asks, if you could team up with any character you have voiced to save the world, which characters would it be?
Ooh. Well, I personally think that Kamina could lead the charge pretty well from Gurren Lagann. It's very inspirational, very positive.
Okay. But is anyone else? Like, who else would you team up with?
Who else should come along? Oh, man.
Let's say it's a team of 3. Let's be fair. You have done a boatload of roles. Seems unfair.
Yeah. Let's see. Gohan should be there, too. Absolutely. God,
Gohan,
who else
Kamina,
fighting-wise? I'm trying to remember if I got anyone of the others. Well, Kiba's a strong guy. He's still alive in Boruto, so...
He's still alive.
He's still alive. Exactly.
You didn't want to put any villains in that one. All right, no, that's fine. I mean,
I guess I could. I mean, I love being Aizen. If you want to have,
so you go on. You go first.
If you want to have 2 guys team up with one villain, I guess that happens all the time in comics.
Kamina can Sosuke Aizen can do all the planning. Kamina can lead can inspire them effectively, and Gohan can make sure they stay in check. That seems about right.
That's right. You got these 2 pure positive guys and this ultimate scheming villain. Quite a recipe.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Aizen might try to take over, but we'll see. I hope it works. I can only hope. It's you trying to save the world here, not me.
Fair enough.
All right, final question from the fans. Matthias Toth asks, and he says it's kind of a stupid one, but I think it's kind of legit in asking, what kind of shoes would Ryu wear if he did wear shoes?
Shoes. Well, I think he might go with Nike. I'm a Nike guy.
Okay, no, that's fair. You voice him. Your rules. I thought you were gonna troll us and say Crocs.
Crocs. Oh. Ooh.
It works in most weathers, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, he's got those bare feet, so I suppose, I usually go for comfort though, so like Vans, but
Vans are comfy?
They are for me. They're not the greatest though if you have like flat feet and everything.
It might be an American thing. I think America has better roads in that sense. In the UK, it's very wet, so it's never as good.
Yeah. I mean, they're thin. The material's very thin, so yeah, if you step in a water puddle, you'll feel it for days.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that concludes all my fan questions. So, thank you for answering them.
Sure, absolutely.
And I always like to answer this question. You actually gave me this advice a couple of years back, but I want to see how it might have changed. Now that you are 50, you've done just over 50, you've done 500 different roles, or even similar roles, you've just done 500 different performances. and you have definitely inspired the new generation of voice actors. What advice would you give them if they were to get into voice acting?
The thing that I have long been preaching, basically, is that your foundation has to be not as a fan, but as an actor. This voice acting is just another kind of acting. You don't have the physicality of being on camera or on stage, but you have to project all these different aspects of a character through solely your voice. And that sounds like it can be an intimidating challenge, but this is why people take classes to learn the craft, to hone their skills, and it's not an overnight thing. I think that you have to have some raw talent to begin with. And even if you have curiosity and you're not sure if you have raw talent, by taking classes and workshops, working with voice coaches and all that one-on-one, you're going to learn where your strengths are and where to really do that. And kind of keep in mind that you don't have to be a jack of all trades. You don't have to have a million voices in your head to be a successful voice talent. There's always going to be the guys and the gals that they go to for that sort of thing. The thing about finding success in any career is to find your strengths and really, really stay focused on that. What can you bring to the table that's, perhaps somewhat different than someone else's? You may have similar range to X amount of people, but there's something in your delivery that maybe the others don't have. There's a great voice acting blog from D. Bradley Baker. It's called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, and it has a lot of great advice and tips and everything from, if you're going to get up and move to Los Angeles or wherever the opportunities are, depending on what your goals are. With anime dubs, Funimation's still a hot spot with Texas, and in LA on the West Coast of the United States is probably the best for just the most opportunity, I feel, in the widest range of projects, not just anime, but animation like cartoons and video games, movies, obviously, TV. There's things that you don't think of, like narration for audiobooks or narration for like training modules, training manuals, all sorts of on-hold messages, even all sorts of things. And there's different things to focus on. Improv is another big thing that comes into play. You have to think on your feet and make a quick decision and commit to it, but also be flexible too, because the director may throw you a curveball. And these are skills that don't happen overnight, but even if you have some raw talent and all that, you can do practice demos at home. You can record your voice, get used to the sound of your voice. If you have some sort of regional dialect or accent or anything, you have to be able to turn that off at the drop of a hat and speak like a neutral accent, I guess. There's even opportunities opening up for people who are multilingual. Like here in North America, there's a big market for people who can speak Spanish as well. So that's some of the things. But in the UK, I'm not sure if there are big opportunities for gaming projects or animation or commercials the way they are in the United States. But for people who are interested in that, I encourage everyone to take steps towards achieving those goals and at least trying it out. And you might discover that maybe it's not for you, maybe it's not as fun as you thought it would be, or maybe it's not as interesting, or you learn something along the way that interests you more. Some people could take a left turn and go into writing or audio production, video production, editing, casting, all sorts of different facets of the entertainment industry that keeping an open mind will, that's going to broaden your experience. So even if things don't work out for you the way you thought they would or whatnot, you still learn. You still come away educated about something. You will be able to take positives out of a negative experience. So that's basically my rant.
I was expecting it to be way shorter, but it's more knowledge is always more power. So
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I want to make sure to throw this all in there. It's nothing I can just get down to like, well, just Google it.
Yeah. No, thank you. Where can people find you?
I am most active on Twitter and Instagram, so my name there is both the same, at Kyle Hebert, KyleHebert. I love interacting on social media. I do have a Facebook page. I'm not as active on there, but I also have a website, KyleHebert.com, that I try to update every few months with. It's like, here's a slew of new characters you might hear me in. It's like, here's all the background. Here's a bunch of guys that I die as. I'm a guy who dies for a living.
I hope. Well, Gohan's not dead, so and Keeper's not dead, so
that's true.
So Aizen's not dead.
Ooh, that's right.
He's not dead yet. I mean, you don't always play bad. You're not Sean Bean.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know that me personally, I'm going to do this until I physically can't anymore. And yay, technology. I can, people can not spend thousands of dollars, but still have a good recording setup at home. Mm-hmm. And golly, in the future, maybe we don't even have to leave the house anymore. That's kind of cool. It's like, what are you going to do? I'm going to get up and go eat breakfast and go watch Netflix.
But that way we can't watch AEW.
Oh, that's very, very true. I've been bugging the Young Bucks and Cody and tagging them saying, hey, you guys want me to, I could be the DBZ narrator voice on Be the Elite, something. I've already heard a promo on TNT in the States and they got like, coming AEW. It's like, oh man, that's the gig I wanted.
Okay. I wasn't expected to talk about that here. God damn it. Oh well. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time, Kyle. Just for the fans at home, don't forget you can find us on Nintendo Players on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram on our website. You know the spiel. You'll find everything on the comments. Thank you so much, Kyle,
Absolutely.
for your time and your patience with me.
Oh, no worries. Happy to catch up with you and your listeners out there, and thank you all out there for supporting the industry and being fans. I'm a fan too, and let's go out there and have a good time.